He is the author of numerous books. He's the publisher of this fine magazine called The New American. He has appeared on radio and TV talk shows, C-SPAN, and he's a good friend of mine. Let's give a warm hand for John McManus.
Myself a little while ago, and then a good fellow from New Hampshire came up and talked about it. But, you know, the weather at Valley Forge was probably as bad as it is out here today, and they stayed, and they won eventually. So I want to congratulate all you folks who came through the weather. Stand up and political candidates this year, and I read about one, and they say he's quaint. They say he's quirky. They said he's quixotic. They like cues. What they didn't say is that he's quietly waking up the sleeping giant. Heard a lot about the undeclared war, the war on terrorism. Now, I served in the military. I was a lieutenant in the old United States Marine Corps. I know a little bit about those kinds of things. And I know that you don't go to war against a tactic. Yep. If you go to war against a tactic, after Pearl Harbor, we would have declared war on aviation. We declared war on Japan. Germany declared war on us. We went to war. We won! I want to tell you a story about a U.S. Navy ship steaming along one night. Lights flashed ahead. Signal, turn your ship 5 degrees to starboard. Well, the ship's captain was quite indignant about being told what to do. He told his signal man, he says, you send back another message. And he said, your message is, you turn your ship 5 degrees to starboard. Well, that prompted an immediate response again. No, 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 you turn your ship 5 degrees to starboard. Well, now the captain of this Navy vessel was really upset. And he told his man, he said, you send this message. I'm a captain of the United States naval vessel. You turn your ship to starboard. And the final message came back and said, I'm a seaman second class and I'm aboard a lighthouse. You turn your ship. Of course, is that the stripes on your sleeve or the initials after your name aren't nearly as important as the ground you stand on. If you have children who deliver facts, they're like the sailor at the lighthouse, who certainly had solid ground to stand on. What ground does our nation stand on? Constitution. Officials of our nation's government swear an oath to the Constitution. Practically all of them immediately put it in the bottom drawer and go and do whatever they please. One of the great fallacies most claim is that Congress says that if they aren't prohibited from doing something in the Constitution, they can go ahead and do whatever they want. Not so. You know that. Not so. Our country didn't become the greatest place on earth because of what government did. The United States of America became the envy of the world because of what government was prohibited from doing. I expect that many in this audience, and maybe all of you, probably all of you, will agree with me that the most important sentence in the Constitution is the first sentence after the preamble. Article 1, Section 1, Sentence 1 says all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in the Congress of the United States. need some help. I hope there's some algebra students here in the audience. Please help me out. If all lawmaking power is in the legislative branch, how much of it is in the judicial branch? Obviously, the word all still has some meaning with some Americans. The Supreme Court decision can't be the law of the land. It's the law of the case. And it binds the plaintiff and the defendant, period. Most decisions of the Supreme Court should be, it's not a federal matter, and forthwith send it back to the states and to the people themselves. Okay, algebra students, help me out again. Any lawmaking power in the executive branch? But don't we get executive orders, presidential decision directives, signing statements from the White House, taking on the force of law? Another serious violation of this document. Very serious. Very serious. It's not the president's prerogative to make law. Now go back to my sentence. All legislative powers herein granted are vested in Congress. Herein granted, what does that mean? Here in the pages of this document. Right? Look how big it is. If it were written by government today, it'd be that high off the floor. Is foreign aid herein granted? No! Does the Constitution grant power for a Department of Education? No! How about a Department of Energy? No. How about health and medicine? No. How about a Department of Homeland Security? You know, I thought we had a Department of Homeland Security. I thought it was the Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Marine Corps. Monstrosities and other meddlesome agencies that harass our people and eat out their substance. That's an interesting phrase, harass our people and eat out their substance. That's an actual indictment of King George in the Declaration of Independence. History repeats. If you drop your guard, history repeats. I've often stated a conclusion about the Constitution that no liberal or neoconservative likes. It is that if the Constitution were fully and honestly enforced, as it exists today, the federal government would be 20% its size and 20% its cost. I've been chided by some of my friends in the John Birch Society who say, no, the figure should be 10%. If the Constitution were honored, there would be no policing the planet, there would be no undeclared wars, there would be no Federal Reserve, there would be no federal... funds for highways that can be taken away if a state refuses to knuckle under to Big Brother. Of course, if all of those unconstitutional programs were abolished, we wouldn't need an income tax, would we? 20 years ago, an occupant of the White House gave a famous speech. It started off 87 years ago. Paralleling what he said back then, Let's go back today to 14 years ago. And that takes us back to 1913. In 1913, three severe attacks on the American people's liberty were enacted. We got the direct election of senators, we got the Federal Reserve, and we got the income tax. All in 1913. Before 1913, as I'm sure many of you know, senators were appointed by the state legislators to guard states' rights against federal power. Wouldn't it be good to get back to that? You know, neither the Federal Reserve or the income tax appeared in the Constitution originally. Both the Federal Reserve and the income tax are prominently listed, however, as two of the 10 planks of the Constitution. It's Democrats and Republicans that are making our country a communist state. It's time to stop them. The founders were absolutely adamant about creating a republic, the rule of law, not a democracy, the rule of men that always degenerates to the rule of the mob. There's no mention of democracy in the Constitution. Not in the Declaration of Independence, and not in any of the 50 state constitutions. The word doesn't appear. And yet we're told all the time that we pledge allegiance to the flag and to the what? There is mention of republic in the Constitution. We are getting democracy and it's ruled by men instead of adherence to the republic, the rule of law, enshrined in the Constitution. Back to the Constitution. It gives the power to Congress to coin money. Not to start a bank, not to allow a privately owned and unaccountable Federal Reserve. Only, this is what the founders meant, only to create a mint. To shape precious metals into coinage of a fixed size, weight, and purity. That's all it meant. So a mint was created, and it coined money. Now the Federal Reserve exists, and it does something impossible. It coins paper. Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution assigns the federal government the responsibility to protect the states from invasion. It doesn't say military invasion, just invasion. And 20 million illegal immigrants is an invasion. But the border remains wide open because our leaders are determined to create a North American Union. A merger in the making. Recent issue of our magazine. Special report on the North American Union. Merger in the making is what we call it, and we've got to stop it. So, we have some copies here. If you want to get a copy, go to The New American. Don't put any spaces between the words. TheNewAmerican.com. You can download the whole magazine free of charge. Please do so. Today, our federal government engages in all kinds of unauthorized activity. Our leaders refuse to do what the Constitution requires that they do. And I sometimes think the only part of the Constitution given much attention is that part that says they shall be paid out of the Treasury. Anyone who understands the Constitution knows that it's not a free pass to do whatever the government wants. It established government with very few powers, and then it stresses these limitations in the Bill of Rights. You know the Bill of Rights. Yes. What does it say? It says Congress shall not, Congress shall not, Congress shall not, shall not, shall not, all the way up to the marvelous 10th Amendment that says if we forgot anything, you can't do that either. My friends, it's time to get back to the Constitution, and it's nice to know that there's a political candidate who says the same thing. appreciation of tens of thousands of members of the John Birch Society. So I'm going to close now with the motto of the John Birch Society. And it's very simple. It says, less government, more responsibility, and with God's help, a better world. Less government under the Constitution, more responsibility under the Ten Commandments. And when this nation stands on that kind of solid ground, like that seaman second class, with God's help, it will bring about a better world. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have copies of a video I've done called Overview of America. There are copies, I don't know how many we have. If you can find somebody passing them out, grab one and take a look. And then jbs.org, right? You all know where to go for Ron Paul, right? Right? If you like Ron Paul, you'll love the John Birch Society.